Hi everyone, I'm Spencer. Recently I bought my very first real estate investment property at Midwood, and there are people asking me, why did you buy Midwood? What was your rationale as an agent to buy a property like Midwood? So today I want to share with you the 4 key thought processes which I feel can help you and my friends and clients alike. So this has helped me to make that decision along the way. So the very first one is the reason behind buying a property like that. So number one, why are you buying it? Is it for investment or is it for homestay? So obviously your rationale behind that will be very different. In this topic, we're going to talk about investment because that's what I did when I buy Midwood. So when I went in the approach as an investment, of course, some things like during this pandemic situation, is it a good idea to invest? I'm sure many of you will be questioning, what if I'm out of job? What about my job stability? Can I afford the mortgage? So I tried to look back in history, tried to see what happened back then. So during the times of SARS, the subprime market of the US, which hurt Singapore badly back then, it has always taken a beating. And then from there, it started to rise up again. So if I had enough funds back then, and if I had the same kind of thinking to buy a property like now, which I did, I'll probably have made a substantial gain, all right, a capital appreciation. So thinking back, I was trying to look at that. So now, looking at the current situation with this pandemic, could it be an opportunity in a crisis? All right, so let's look at some of the data that was presented by ERA team, and this was taken from the URA website, and they collated into some useful information to share. So let's look at the third quarter for 2020, the private residential property market price index. So looking at this general trend here, you can see that in the past, in 2019, the fourth quarter, it was at its peak during that year. But as it went into the first quarter of 2020, they took a dip here. You can see that the price index had dropped. Then moving to the second quarter of 2020, there was a slight uptick. And finally, at the third quarter now, we have an increase of 0.8%. So that equates to a quarter-on-quarter increase. So what I'm trying to say is that there seems to be a dip due to the pandemic situation in the first quarter of 2020, and this data shows that, right? But if you look back in history, there has always been some form of a muted situation, let's say during this period, and things start to pick up again, So could this be an opportunity again in a crisis? So that was my reasoning. When I buy, I had to find out the reason why am I buying. Am I buying in a depressed situation where I find that there's an opportunity? To me, it is. So that is my first reasoning when I went in. And when I look at it, I also asked another question. Am I the only one buying, or are there many other people buying, and what profile are they? So based on the information shown here, you can see based on the price index in general, the only blip in this part will be the non-landed core central region. In my opinion, traditionally, core central region has been popular with foreign buyers, all right? The Indonesians, the Chinese, they were buying up properties in the core central region. But the main group of people that are buying are actually Singaporeans. And in this current situation, there are less foreigners buying, and there are much more Singaporeans buying, and they are snapping up areas outside, especially in the rest of central region and the outer central region. Even landed properties, which is exclusive to Singaporeans, is also on the increase. This shows that there is a sort of overall positive sentiment in the market, and there's a bit of a pent-up demand, and people are buying on the rise. They are buying in because they feel that this is an opportunity to go in. Honestly, will the pandemic last? We don't know for sure. Will there be a vaccine? I would say 90% sure there will be a vaccine, but when it's going to be coming out is another question altogether. But with that vaccine, and with the restrictions on inter-country travel lifted, foreigners will come back again. And this could possibly push up prices. So that is my rationale behind the reasoning to buy as an investment. So we look at the number of units launched by developers excluding ECs. So during this period, there was 5,643 units launched by developers, and the take-up rate was very healthy. Developers sold 5,230 units, which represents that there is a good absorption rate. Okay, that means that people are still buying, people are not afraid, and people are seeing that yes, despite this pandemic, there is a silver lining out there, and the market is seeming to be coming back. And, you know, honestly looking, things are always usually cyclical. So at this downturn, you will expect things to be moving up. But the question is now, should we buy now or buy later? So in my opinion, it leads to the next question, or the next key tip, affordability. So affordability means, are you able to purchase this based on your current salary? Are you able to obtain that loan? Do you have enough cash, or do you even have enough CPF, right? So these questions need to be answered. So number one, you already done the reasoning. You want to buy for investment, right? So the second part now, can you afford to buy, and what can you afford to buy? So you have to obviously look at your cash component, again your CPF, and then of course what loan you're eligible for. So number one, after you get to that step, you should always talk to a mortgage banker, or you can talk to your realtor to understand, at least on the upfront side, whether are you eligible for a certain amount of loan, and then what possible like quantum of a unit that you can buy. So that is something that you can consider, and you can, from there you can lead on to buy either a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom. Of course, again, buying these different profiles also depends on the situation and the project itself, right? So if let's say you are next to a couple of international schools where you expect lots of families to be staying there, then obviously you will try to go for a 3-bedroom apartment. But if you are not, then you are buying something that is closer to the MRT, and you want the convenience. There's some like a mixed development. So in the case of Midwood, there were a couple of things that went for it. Number one, affordability was there. All right, so it met my budget. So I decided to go for a 1-bedroom unit there. So that is something I planned for. I worked out my cash, I worked out my CPF, and also before that I obtained my loan from the bank, and I got an in-principle approval, and that's where it kickstart everything off. So that is affordability. So of course, that is one of the most crucial things. You should get that reviewed together with your mortgage banker or with your real estate agent. I'm sure he'll be able to help you out. The next part will be on rentability. So now you have decided the reason, you have decided on affordability, and when it comes to rentability, that at the end of the day, you buy a property for investment, you also would like to rent it out. In the case of Midwood, you have Hillview 2, which is an integrated development. There is a supermarket there, there are a couple of restaurants. I've been there many times. There's Wine Connection, Starbucks. So there is a vibrant community there. So it means that for a tenant, he'll have no problem getting food, his groceries, and also his like leisure time. He can go there for drinks with his colleagues or friends. So this is something very important when you are rent out. You need to factor in the lifestyle of this place. Next, you also have transportation. It's just 5 minutes walk to Hillview MRT. So when you search for other projects, you have to consider rentability. Yes, some of them may have cars, but most of the time, when you want to rent out, a bigger pool of them will be from tenants, and usually even youngsters or the younger generation may not have cars, right? And they may want to just rent something that is near to an MRT, not maybe directly, but near to MRT, right? So in the case of Midwood, it's just 5 minutes walk away. So imagine a tenant coming back from work, and Hillview station is along the downtown line. So if we are targeting people who are working in the business district, they can easily just hop on the train and go to work. They come back, just walk about 5 minutes, they have their dinner at the mall, or they can buy groceries at Hillview 2, right? And there's Wine Connection. So fabulous, you can have your entertainment, everything all done there, and then you just cross the road back home. So this is what I find rentability is very important. The next part, you also have to do some research, supply and demand. Is there a lot of competition for the investment unit that you're going for? So I bought a 1-bedroom unit. So when I look at the 1-bedroom unit, I looked at the surrounding areas. I could only find maybe Helia, Kingsford, Hillview Peak, and if I want to go further out, it would be at Hillian Residences. So these are the only ones with 1 bedrooms. okay? And these are my competitors, and they're not much, right? So number one, supply may be a bit little, so that would help to drive up demand. And then the next thing you want to talk about is pricing. So of course, we look at the general pricing. The pricing around the area, you will find that yes, it's something which you expect. And if there is not much supply, that means you would have a higher demand in a sense. And if the pricing is to you is manageable, right? Do you find that to rent out a one bedroom at $2,000 is something that, yes, something that you're looking out at, then of course go for it. Then the last point I want to focus on is exit strategy. Yes, rentability gives you recurring income, at least to cover for your interest on your mortgage. And you know, part of that will be also from your forced savings in a sense. So depending on your tenure, right, maybe you can only loan up to 20 years. So, but then again, with a tenant paying for your interest and part of your principal amount, why not, right? Then at the end of the day, what if you want to exit, you want to sell, and if there's a good capital gain, what should you do? I struggled with Midwood for a while, you know, because I was looking, Midwood is tucked away, and already there are quite a lot of freehold properties around there, and Midwood is a leasehold property. But when I went deeper, I saw that the master plan showed that there were a couple of potential plots of land that were being earmarked. So let's look at the master plan here. You can see here is Midwood, okay? That's the one in circle. This is Midwood. And right next to it in the blue colored plot is Hill V2. Okay, this is Hill V2. This blue plot here. And then we have Kingsford Hillview Peak next to it. And these lands here, these are slated for residential and they are not being built yet. Or the only thing that I know that it was put up for tender is the one that is right next to Midwood. So this one will be interesting. And I'm not sure what the pricing would be for the land, but this shows that I have potentially a good exit strategy put in a way. Potentially hope for the plots next to it, on the west side of it, these 3 plots of land to be developed into something or put up for tender as residential, and this could further drive up prices of the area, right? So this bodes well for me in a sense. So it's calculated risk that for Midwood, hopefully I'm one of the first few movers, you know, they call it the first mover advantage, or maybe this is kind of second mover advantage. So hopefully with the surrounding area being developed or earmarked for more property, this could drive up the value of Midwood. And I did spot something else. There was also an education plot earmarked here. So this is important. This earmark could show that there could be potentially a school institution. And again, with this will create a very vibrant area for it to develop further. All right. So the exit strategy for Midwood is based on the fact that I do see potential. The only thing I find for Midwood that it probably takes longer than places like Penrose, where you are in already quite a built-up area, buying at a lower price than the surrounding areas. So for Midwood, you still have a bit of a longer time frame to look at, so to speak. So that is my 4 key things. Number 1, just to recap, the reason behind you buy. Are you buying for investment? If you're buying for investment, look at the historical trends, right? So make a decision on that. Then of course you look at affordability. You need to see whether can you afford to buy that. Look at your finances, right? Maybe you can buy a 2-bedroom, or you can buy a 2-bedroom, you can stay in one of them and rent out the other place. So it can be both own stay and for investment. And then number 3, of course, you have rentability. That is important because at the end, you don't buy a place where you know that tenants may not want to stay there. So that is one of the reasons that you need to focus on, importantly. And lastly, of course, is exit strategy. You don't want to buy a place that you feel that there's no potential for capital appreciation. Yes, Midwood has a higher entry price, but Midwood allows for some potential appreciation due to the designated residential plots around it. And in addition, that education site. So I hope this video helps to give you a bit of an insight about the buying strategies or the process that you should always have whenever you're looking for your investment property. All right, see you in the next one.